We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 50 after Monday Night Raw?
Happy Friday, everybody. It is your boy, Shad Talks Graps. The new intro always cracks me up because of that Tiffany Stratton take. And y'all missed Drizzy's amazing reaction. We forgot to post that part of it too. But it's your boy, Shad Talks Graps. We're back with another episode of the Wrestling Republic Daily Broadcast. It is News Friday, and we got a lot going on, as you can see from the topics to the right of me. We are on the road to Money in the Bank. We got some qualifier matches that are, announced for the night. But we're going to be talking about who we think will win. And I can't do this without my fellow Philly faithful, my man, Anthony. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right. Spent a lot of money this week to be at that home opener for the Eagles, Dallas in September. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But I am very much looking forward to covering all the topics that we have to do today.
Yes. And you are going to see those lousy Cowboys players see the banner just
honestly
put up in front of their eyes.
That was a huge motivating factor because I'm going, what are the chances? How many more chances in my lifetime am I going to get a home opener where they're raising the banner in front of our most hated rivals of all time, who haven't won since VHS was a thing in the 90s? It was just too much for me not to go, all right, shut up and take my money.
Yeah, it's crazy. Jalen Hurts was born, went throughout his entire life, got engaged, and won a Super Bowl before the Cowboys have in his lifetime. So that's a beautiful thing to see. We got a couple comments. I do not know the context of these comments. Jakar Jackson not resign contract for Mo. I believe she was let go unless there's something different. And then Sonya Deville with Sukuban.
I don't even know what that is.
You must be fantasy booking or something, but that's cool. Number one, Superfly saying hello. What's going on, bro? And then our homie Fernando Zaya saying happy Friday, WR crew. All right, man. Let's get into the first topic though, because we are en route to Money in the Bank. One of the more focal shows of the summertime has become one of the most, spectacles in the WWE with the briefcase being there. Whether people like it or not, whether we've had good cash-ins or not, whether we had failed cash-ins, it's always something that we over here at WR love to fantasy book, and that is what we are going to do today. Myself and Anthony are going to give you first the ladies, women's first, and then we'll go with the men's side. But I must preface this. There was 2 matches announced right before we went live today. So that might throw a little curveball on our predictions, but I got to put it out there just because it is what it is. We got Chelsea Green, Alexa Bliss, and Mia Yim in a qualifier match. Then we got Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, and Rey Fenix in a qualifier match. So those are potential names that could be winning that Money in the Bank. But let's start, like I said, ladies first. Anthony, I'm going to kick it off to you first, man. Who do you think will win the briefcase on the women's side for Money in the Bank?
It's kind of funny because last year when we did this, I really thought Chelsea would have been the logical choice. She has the type of character that could play off that Money in the Bank. That whole will I, won't I cash in, taunting opponents on multiple brands, because obviously the cash in could be on either brand, essentially for any title. So I think that of the names that we initially have, which is very few, I think Chelsea would be a strong contender to take the Money in the Bank, especially now that she no longer has the U.S. championship. if the plan was to give her the Money in the Bank, it makes it make more sense, I guess, to take the US title off of her because they didn't want her to have both. Like that sort of makes more sense if that's what the logic was, or if that's how they're going to retcon it. But for the women, I think Chelsea's a strong runner. Alexa could be a spoiler, but I'm going to go with Chelsea Green on this one.
And you know what? As much as me and Chelsea Green are rivals with each other, I think the first and foremost, she had the best spot last year falling off that ladder. Like, I don't think anybody can argue or deny that. She was by far the MVP in the women's ladder match last year.
Yep.
She does things remarkably. And then, like you said, man, just the whole faction, the whole, being able to kind of like find a new different character and make the briefcase special. You know what I'm saying?
Chelsea is one of those rare people. It doesn't matter whether it's the men or the women. She is probably one of the only ones that I could think of off the top of my head that maximizes her minutes, no matter how much time she gets on TV, whether it's a 5-minute segment with Nick Aldis in the back or she's given 20 minutes in a match. She maximizes every time she has and views every time she's on TV as an opportunity. There are so many young talents that don't get that. It's not how much time you're given, it's what you do with that time. And that's true in life. Like Chelsea has that a lot of other talents don't get that. So I give her credit on that because there's very few that fully get it the way she gets it.
Yeah, no, and I think I watched the interview with her. I think it was on with Sean Ross Sapp before she got, matter of fact, when she was still in the Indies, right after she got cut.
Yeah.
She was talking about how she was really trying to like pitch ideas. Like you can tell the wheels are spinning in her mind constantly. You like that's a type of person that does like, and then with what she said with Chris Van Fleet, like I'm trying to be the women's Miz. I don't want to be she's so aware that not everybody can be the Roman Reigns, right?
Yes.
Like that type, like the Cody Rhodes, that's not always in the forefront for everyone. But for her, she's like, I see a guy who has longevity, a guy who has a lot of character. In Chelsea's defense, probably can reinvent herself way more than the Miz can, just because we've seen her do it nonstop. I think that's a phenomenal pick. That's definitely one that is going to be a strong favorite going into it. For me, I'm looking at someone else on SmackDown, and I'm thinking of Caution Tape. I'm thinking of someone who's just become a superior heel, who has a strong storyline with a Jade and Bianca Belair, and that is Naomi. I think Naomi is someone like you mentioned as well. She had to start from square one. She was out of the WWE and went to TNA, reinvented herself, came back, and she's better than ever. And she is at her peak right now because they've given her an opportunity to take on a role that is completely different than what we've seen. We've all loved Trinity Naomi from the get-go, from her time in Total Divas to what she's done as a wrestler with all the Feel the Glow. But this character now, the story with Bianca and Jade and just how she's take onto it, she just feels like one of the most intriguing, interesting women in the WWE as a whole. Whether she wins and she cashes in and becomes champ, or even a potential fail, it's one of those cases where I could see it being beneficial for her, because you have the possibility where maybe Bianca becomes the champ, or maybe Jade becomes the champ, and she cashes in on her to extend this type of feud on the long haul. To me, that's somebody that has a good story going on, but also character-wise, I think she's really strong. So for me, I'm gonna go with Naomi.
That's a solid pick, honestly. When you talk about reinvention, like you said, that TNA run really elevated her. I mean, she was already a former WWE Women's Champion, but I think she said herself that short little run in TNA helped boost her confidence even more, because you're carrying that division because it's a much smaller pool. And granted, it's a smaller audience, but maybe with the smaller audiences, you notice more when you're getting extra people in a smaller building and you're starting to sell out. Like she was part of that initial TNA started selling out again at shows, and they hadn't been that way for a while. So it was a really good run for her.
And I'll never forget when she signed there, I said, this is a game-changing type of pickup. And, a lot of people in the comments laughed at it, but to what you just said, that is a key point. Numbers don't lie. And I think the confidence aspect of going to a place and kind of, prior to that, she's never been looked as one of the faces of the women's division, like throughout her career. She's been a champ at one point, but you never felt like she kind of has taken the hall and been like a Becky, like a Charlotte, like a Bianca, like a Rhea.
I like to refer to it as when talents are, they've had title reigns and stuff. They had good runs. They're looked at as good hands. You're not the face of the company. You're not somebody that draws. People aren't paying tickets to see you, but you could put on a great show. So you help the show. And I'm not saying that about Naomi directly, but you know what I mean. There are talents where they essentially get taken for granted. It doesn't matter which company it is. And they're like, well, they're a good hand. They're good. They're good at their job.
And I agree with you. I think it's like they're the perfect dance partner in a way. They do stuff that makes people look good, but the company may not look as them as the person that is the person that's shining out of the two that gets put over in that way.
One of the most notorious ones of that was Jerry Lynn. RVD got all the praise for their matches, but Jerry really, a lot of people don't realize how good he was. William Regal's another perfect example. People recognize it now that, how those little things that he would do. But like during the time, he was totally taken for granted for a lot of fans. He's like, he's jobbing he's going to lose to Goldberg, or he's going to lose to this one, or he's going to put this one over and put that one over. But, that makes a difference. Sean Waltman was another one. For the women, Natalia's another one. Natalia's somebody that's been in this business for a very long time, and she's always been viewed as, well, she's a good hand. Mickie James, another perfect example. Victoria.
Mickie and Victoria is a great one, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Because Victoria, to me, if you threw her in today's day of wrestling, like just her as a character, brand spanking new, she would be one of the top women in the division. She had the skill set. She had the, mic skills. She wrestled very strongly. Like she would have, and then she would have become better because the resources now are so much. We're literally looking girls who've never wrestled in their entire lives become WrestleMania main eventers.
She had one of the best finishers in the business. Like, I mean, and you think about it, like when she started, she was presented as one of the Godfather's ladies.
Yep.
And you look at what she was able to accomplish in that career. Like, it's just, a complete 180 from when she started. She was just looked at as, oh, well, it's eye candy with the Godfather. And like, she is one of the most respected women's wrestlers of all time. Now.
Yeah. For sure. Oh man. All right. Let's get to our pick and then I'll read the comments because I don't want comments to cloud our judgment.
Okay.
So I got Naomi, Anthony, you have Chelsea Green. Yep. On the men's side, I'm wondering who are you going to pick to win? Because this one's a little bit more difficult, I think.
Honestly, it is harder. And I said this to you pre-show. I have no idea who's in this thing. Like, I mean, we do have the match tonight, Solo, Rey Fenix, and Jimmy. And even that's a throw-up of who the hell could possibly be winning that. I am going to go with, honestly, there's like two potential, like there's one that I think might be a safe pick, but I don't know. I don't even know if he's in this thing. Maybe CM Punk, because maybe that's how they're going to get to the Cena Punk, maybe to do that one last time. Maybe that's what they're going to do it. And obviously the two of them do have Money in the Bank history, pay-per-view wise. So maybe they would do something like that. Selfishly, if I'm going to go selfish booking, and again, this is completely out there because I really don't know what they're going to do, to be honest. It would be funny as anything if Chelsea wins the women's and I don't know, Matt Cardona comes back and ends up winning it, and it's husband and wife as Money in the Bank people, I think they could totally play that off, because I do find it interesting that he did a Chris Van Vliet interview, and he's like, "Oh, I've reached out, they're not interested." And I'm like, you know, at some point you think he's probably going to come back. Um, it gets teased every year when we get to the Rumble. This is the first time he's kind of talked about it this time of year, though, which I thought was a little interesting. As far as tonight's match, I'm going to go Ray Phoenix. I think Phoenix has a good shot because I definitely think they would want him jumping around in a Money in the Bank ladder match with all those people. It would be a great showcase for him.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I definitely do think he is going to win tonight for that reason.
Mhm.
They don't have Ricochet no more, so they need somebody to kind of be the high flyer. And Ray Phoenix is, salute to the bro Clark. He is on record saying he thinks Ray Phoenix is the best luchador in pro wrestling at the moment. Obviously, not saying he's the best of all time, but at the moment, active, he thinks he's the best luchador. And it's hard to argue that, man, because you see the stuff he does, bro. It's so fluid.
WWE has been searching for the person that would eventually take the mantle from Rey Mysterio as that next big Latino star for them. They've looked for it for years, and they've never really found the one. They may have the one in Ray Phoenix and Pentagon. One of those two could be, but Ray's technically younger. The sky's the limit for this guy because they are 100% behind him from the presentation. He has a connection with the crowd already.
Yeah.
The future's very bright for him.
For sure. For me, man, this one is very difficult. And it makes me look in both directions of the titles. You look at John Cena as champion. I don't know if anyone will cash in on him. The only person I could potentially see is, like you mentioned, CM Punk is a great one. Cody potentially coming back from that Mania loss, returning at Money in the Bank, winning the briefcase, and kind of hanging that over John, saying that I am going to get my title back and I'm going to, play your type of game. It's not going to be, you won't see it coming. I'm in the grass. You won't know when I'm going to strike like a cobra on there, but I'm going to go with a different route. I think that it is going to have to be someone that is young and on the up and coming to win this one. And I think I'm going to go, because I'm just hyper booking it with other situations. But I look at Jey Uso's title. I don't know how long he'll be champion. And he's very tied to everything that's going on with Seth and his faction. And I do think Seth is going to beat him for that belt. But who wins the briefcase? I could see it being Braun Breaker. I could see Braun winning the briefcase and potentially cashing in on Jay before Seth does, getting his own heist of the century type of moment. I think something like that could be interesting. Or let's even go back another route. Let's go Evolution. Let's go Batista, thumbs up, thumbs down in a way, turning on Triple H. It could be its own iteration, its own style. Because I do think at some point it'll be Paul just managing him, and it goes with that. I think Seth will be left alone. But that's kind of, so if I have to pick someone between those two options, I think I'm going to go with Braun Breaker.
Honestly, that is not a bad pick because if you have Seth with the title, Braun's got the briefcase, so Seth totally laughs it up of going, I'm solid. You're not going to, I'm protected. This whole thing. And I do eventually think you are getting Heyman and Braun Breaker. It's the logical choice. He's the new Brock Lesnar. He's the guy that the future's being built around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a strong pick. And then when you do the turn, it's got very much Batista choosing to cash in on Triple H. It's got very much those vibes to it. That Now, it may go to the end. It may go to it's the last day because we've never seen it to the point where the briefcase is on the last day. We've never had that. So that is a solid pick, and you can kind of run with that, and you don't necessarily need to cash it. You have a year. It protects you for a year. So if this thing has legs, the Seth group has legs, you have a year to kind of play with it. If it's not going well and you want to cash in earlier, you kind of do that too. It gives them a lot of options. So yeah, I think Braun Breaker is a phenomenal call on that, to be perfectly honest.
For sure. Yeah, man. And we have a ton of comments, so let's get a couple in there. Number one is thinking like me. He says for the women's, Naomi is going to win. Cash it in for Bianca. For men's, I want Braun to win it. His runner-up is Americano, just to make the briefcase a lunchbox with his logo. That would be really funny. I'm not going to lie. We got Bobby Petito in the building, so he's saying for the women's, he'd like to see Naomi. For the men's, he got Braun Breaker as well. So a couple people.
This is solid picks.
Yeah,
they really are.
We got Fernando also in here. He says he thinks Naomi wins. For the men, he has Carmelo Hayes. That, my friend, is a different pick. That could be something that can really jumpstart his career and really kind of get momentum on him. Although I really do like the Andre the Giant chain that he wears. It's the first time they've ever made that win look cool and significant instead of holding that clunky ass trophy.
Listen, you could totally build off of that. At some point he's probably going to break away from the Miz. Obviously, the Miz is with him to try to boost him. Obviously, because the main roster run has not exactly been lighting the world on fire. So it would make sense. We've seen the Miz steal one Money in the Bank briefcase from somebody. He can obviously try again. As a multi-time Money in the Bank winner.
That was so bad.
This really is as much of a crapshoot guess thing as anything else, because honestly, I don't know. It's one of those things that usually you're like, okay,
this
it's
one
probably this one. It's
this
probably
one right
that
here
one.
Is pretty good too. Roxanne and Karrion Kross.
The momentum is definitely behind Cross these days. And I think if he cashed in, it's obviously the world title on Raw. I think Cena holds it until his last match. I think that's where that's going. It's kind of like a locked in. So if you win the Money in the Bank, Cena wouldn't be a logical choice to cash in. Just saying. But Cross would be. I definitely think Cross is going to have a singles run this year, title.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's going to be a world title yet, but I definitely think he's wearing gold this year. I think he's finally found that sweet spot, or he's getting there.
For sure, man. Hey, he's making a lot of sales on his t-shirts. But yeah, man, it's exciting. We'll definitely be tuned in tonight. Let's talk about a potential free agent from the world of New Japan. New Japan. My heart hurts for them. Y'all losing a lot of coveted guys, but the young man named Gabe Kidd over there has been, really making a name for himself, especially this year. They've put a lot of investment into him, and we just saw him recently on this episode of Dynamite. He's going to be part of the Blood and Guts match. Anarchy at the Arena.
Anarchy in the Arena.
Yeah, he'll be part of that. And the question, thrown to us is that. I believe his contract is going to run up soon, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But knowing just New Japan deals, a lot of guys have been broken out of it easily. We've seen, just recently, both of the Gorillas of Destiny go to WWE. You know what I'm saying? We just saw a guy we'll talk about next topic go to WWE. Will Ospreay has gone to AEW. Jay White has gone to AEW. They've lost a lot of great guys, and it's starting to feel like New Japan is starting to be a place financially that guys are not making enough money to have long-lasting careers. And, hey, man, the economy is the economy, and as young as these guys are, they want to make as much money as they want. So the question is, what is the next move for him? If he does break out of New Japan, there's options, obviously, potentially going to WWE, going to AEW, going to TNA. There's a lot of places open there for it. And for me, I swear, guys, I'm not biased when I say this. I think Gabe Kidd potentially signing to the NXT brand and, filling a void in a men's division that could use some superstars, especially with potential guys getting called up to the main roster and being a focal point in the WWE, it makes a lot of sense. And it's very unprecedented. To a lot of people, it might feel like AEW is the place to go, and I get it. Or maybe staying in New Japan because he wears that flag on his back. But the guy is so made for WWE television to me. The pure ability of just cutting a promo so confidently, selling fights, just having a gritty, loudmouth personality, someone very similar to like a Conor McGregor in a way to me. I think that it would just shine bright in the WWE. To me, Gabe Kidd is a guy who has as much talent as some of the best in the business. I was talking to somebody on Twitter, and he was saying he thinks he has like MJF potential on the mic, LA Knight potential on the mic, just that charisma. Very different, by the way, but just he's so much of a star. He just hasn't been exposed to it. There's limited exposure to him out in New Japan. To me, going to NXT, I think he would instantly catapult himself at the top of the division, potentially feuding with the likes of Obafemi, feuding with the likes of Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints, Trick Williams. I think that would really be great. And just building off of that and then going on to the main roster and continuing what he can do. So to me, I know a lot of people are thinking that AEW is the shoe-in, and it very well may be, and it's not a bad route for him. But I look at AEW, man, it is a lot. Like, their men's division is so stacked, bro. Like, I was watching Dynamite, and I was like, holy cow, man, this first match, all four of these guys could literally be the world champion right now.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody would blink an eye.
Yeah.
And then you got other guys following that. I mean, before we get to, the next topic, I want to know, what would you think Gabe Kidd for his career would be the best fit if he is to leave New Japan?
I think the most likely landing spot is probably AEW. Do I think it's the best move for his career? No. AEW has a tendency, they get shiny new toys, and they're pushed until they're not. And there's too much talent there that'll get lost in the shuffle. If you're bringing somebody in, because I do think he's a very unique diamond in the rough type talent. He's young. He definitely does have that MJF, Conor McGregor to him. I would also say that I think his gimmick, his character, is very much reminiscent to me of the loose cannon Brian Pillman, because he blurs that line between, is it real? Is it a character? Is he really taking shots at The Rock, or really taking shots at this one, or taking shots at that one? Or is he just playing it up? So I think, for him, NXT is definitely a spot that is in desperate need of male talent to kind of get there. Him under a learning tree of a Shawn Michaels and the like in NXT could potentially take him to the next level, because if anybody knows how to play a, just a hateable guy, whether intentionally or unintentionally, look no further than 1997 Shawn Michaels. So he could definitely guide him in a way that no one else could, advice-wise, if he's willing to take that advice. TNA would be another great spot with him, because in that situation, he could jump back and forth between TNA and WWE, even if it's a short TNA run, to just feel more comfortable or to get a better idea. I think he will get lost in the shuffle in AEW. You're putting him with the Death Riders. You need to explain why he's with the Death Riders. And he is not somebody that should be just a sidekick. Like, he needs to be somebody that you need to get behind. He shouldn't be a hired gun for Moxley. I don't think that's a bright spot for him. New Japan essentially has become the developmental brand of AEW unofficially, and then randomly a WWE will pick somebody up. But New Japan is not, it's not that level anymore. It reminds me very much of Ring of Honor before they kind of went under and Tony Khan bought them. And we know WWE's in the process of buying AAA. If they're trying to establish an NXT brand in Japan, we know they have a partnership with Noah, but we also know New Japan has a lot richer history and a lot bigger tape library. If WWE would want that, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but New Japan's pretty much against the ropes here. And if they lose Gabe Kidd, they don't got nothing. I gotta be honest. I don't know if there's anything there, like realistically, that will appeal to anybody outside of a very niche of a niche. To be honest, I think, like I said, the most likely landing spot is probably AEW for him, but NXT or TNA would probably be a better pick. Honestly, career-wise, creatively, I think. Financially, though, AEW may offer him more because it just may happen that way.
Yeah, and to the point though, whether he goes either or, I think he'll do fine. But to that, like we were mentioning about New Japan, it's definitely worrisome because, like, man, I think the partnership with AEW is keeping it afloat a lot because they're able to, borrow, like someone like Takeshita, being able to have him as a, pseudo.
He's triple signed. He's with DDT, AEW, and New Japan. Yeah, he's got contracts with all three.
Which is Tony saying, I know you obviously want to do stuff out in your home country, gives you an opportunity to go out there, spend time with family, stuff like that. Maybe that may be the cause, but like a lot of the stuff is tied to that too, and it's going to be interesting. We have a couple comments that I do want to read. A bit of a tough one. What Gabe Kidd should do once Anarchy, then Blood and Guts is done with, he should maybe align himself maybe in the Callis family. I don't want to see that. I don't want the Callis family is becoming the Wu-Tang Clan.
They have no track record. Like as a whole, like Takeshita got pushed. You put Josh Alexander with it, who was pretty much the heart and soul of TNA for several years. But like the plan shouldn't just be, if there's anybody that's Canadian or has Japan connections, you got to be with Don Callis. Like that can't be the direction either.
I think it's beneficial for a Takeshita, for a Kyle Fletcher, but like now when you're adding Josh Alexander, then you're adding Roppongi Vice, and then the Gates, then you're just adding a lot. Lance Archer, it's too many people for my liking.
Yeah, they just sold those people from like Jake Roberts or something. Like we'll take them from one stable and we'll put them in another, and we'll still do nothing with them. But okay,
but crazy. Bobby Batito, speaking of Josh Alexander, he wants to see Gabe Kidd challenge him for the MLP title. Yeah, that would be a hell of a match.
Yes, that's the thing. Gabe Kidd is one of those. He has his pick. I really do. I truly believe he's got his pick of where he wants to go. Mm-hmm. WWE is obviously a bigger option now because Triple H is more open to being more creative with things than the previous regime. So it's not as a foregone conclusion that they'll definitely go to AEW. Is it likely because he's on there? So was Stephanie Vakir. Good point. And where'd she end up?
That is a very good example. And she, honestly, you look at what she's doing. I mean, she's at the top of women's. She's a top 5 women's wrestler right now.
Her Julia, Roxanne, they are thriving right now.
So we got Fernando saying Gabe Kidd will be the hottest free agent in 2025 and will be a perfect fit for AEW like Joe Hendry is for the WWE. We'll have to wait and see. But I do want to talk about a couple things, and there's one thing I do want to talk about also that you might know a little bit about with these reads. Well, let's get into that first, man. Sold separately. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that, man. There's some big stuff going on with that, huh?
Yeah, we are now officially a part of the Wrestling Republic Undercard channel. That will be our new exclusive home, I believe, starting today. at some point. I believe Ben is posting it. Our first episode features a Zombie Sailor Toys collection. They are producing their second CM Punk figure, which is in a Bret Hitman Hart themed gear, and they are making the first in almost 30 years Owen Hart in black and pink limited edition figure that is a Pro Wrestling Tees exclusive. So Clark and I cover that this week. And well, that, like I said, that will be our new home every week on Fridays, I believe. We will be airing there. And then next week, WrestleMania 41 reveals some of the figures that they revealed WrestleMania weekend.
I'm excited for that, man. If you guys haven't checked out Sold Separately, please do, man. Anthony and Clark do phenomenal stuff on that. And yeah, the undercard channel is really building up a lot. So you guys definitely tune into that, subscribe, like, all of that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we got a episode of Spotlight dropping on that as well. That me and Clark, we had an opportunity to interview the very talented Chris Slade from the DMV, who will be wrestling this weekend out in the DMV and potentially on GCW. So y'all watch out because they are in Maryland this weekend. Man, let's get to these next couple topics because we got to talk about what our fans think, because our fans keep the lights running over here. A lot of them don't think that Jeff Cobb is going to win a WWE title. Now, I need to preface this. This is a world title, okay? This doesn't mean any title. He could very well win a mid-card title, be a tag team champion. Hell, he could even win the speed title next week if he wanted to. But everyone is saying for either the WWE championship or the Universal championship, they don't see him winning that. And I want to ask you, do you agree or disagree? I think it's very, very early before we can make this, but I guess just knowing what we know about Jeff Cobb.
Listen, Jeff Cobb is one of those ones that I am stunned it took him this long to get to WWE. I thought he was in New Japan a lot longer than he probably should have been. Like, he's a tremendous talent. It's also deceiving, though, he is a bit on the older side, but you don't see that when he's in the ring. My first exposure to Jeff Cobb was under a mask in Lucha Underground. He was eye-catching. And then when you found out who he was, and I saw him on Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, he is one of the most interesting, can't-miss prospects in wrestling. If you're looking at it right now, the current landscape of WWE, I understand the WWE Championship is kind of locked up with Cena, and he's on SmackDown, so I understand the hesitation of, oh, well, he's not going to win it now. You can't say he's never going to win it. Do I think he has the talent to win it? Yeah. And if he catches on the same way Jacob Fatu has caught on, which I think Jeff Cobb has a very strong chance of doing that because of how explosive he is in the ring, I would not say it's out of the realm of possibility that he doesn't get a world championship reign possibly during a WWE run, but he's definitely going to hold some gold, I think, during his WWE run. But within the next year, probably not a world title. Come back a year from now, and I'd probably have a better idea.
And I agree. I think it's it's kind of early to see. If I was to tell you now, maybe not, I guess. It's hard. It's hard to make the call.
The funny part is, if you're asking me now, that percentage is probably right. It's probably 60-40 now. But it's early. Those numbers could shift in a year from now, or it can go lower. We'll have a better idea, as time goes on. He's only made one appearance, so it's kind of hard to go off of that.
And to that point, though, like, you never know. And like, you look at someone like Tama Tonga, for instance, right?
Yes.
I didn't think he would be very over, but he found his niche within the storyline. He found a sense of thing that gets him over to the WWE crowd, and he's receptive. He's won championships already in the WWE as a tag team champion. Like, things can happen. We've seen crazier things happen.
I think the other most unexpected one, technically it's not in WWE. No one expected Joe Hendry to be as over as he is now.
Good point.
Like that's a perfect example. No one viewed him when he was doing the independent stuff and in Ring of Honor. I didn't view him as a potential world champion anywhere, to be perfectly honest. So you never know in wrestling. The strangest things can catch on.
I mean, Joe Hendry wrestled Randy Orton, man.
Yes,
like
a Mania.
Like people don't. That's the type of thing. You're right. Like he had a Mania match versus Randy Orton. That's stuff like that is definitely. And he's going to be the first TNA champion to defend the TNA title on WWE soil too. So that itself is pretty remarkable. So we'll have to wait and see. At the moment, I agree with our fans. It is probably not going to happen. But hey, crazier things have happened. All right, let's talk about this weekend of pro wrestling. Obviously, we talked about a couple stuff that has already happened in regards to the two matches that we have tonight between the qualifier matches, right? Between Chelsea, Mia Yim, and Alexa Bliss. Also, we have Jimmy, Ray Phoenix, and Solo Sikoa. So those are going to be good. We also have a big title match tonight between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. So that's going to be something to definitely tune into. Out on AEW Collision, I believe we have a pretty stacked card as well. We got one thing I'm super excited about. I believe Ric Flair is going to have a tribute to Steve Mongo McMichael, which is going to be pretty cool to see.
That's cool.
Kyle Fletcher is wrestling. Megan Bain is wrestling. So, you got some good people on there as well. But I think the big thing is obviously we got a women's title match tonight with Tiffany and Nia. And, me as a Tiffany Stratton truther, I'm not super interested in this match because I feel like we've beat the drum on this feud so much, and it's time to just play a different tune. If this is the last time they're going to go against each other, let this be the last time they go against each other. I just don't have a big peak interest of it. I think there's so many talented women on the WWE roster that we can kind of allow feud against each other, fresh matchups. Like when I saw Jade and Tiffany wrestle, that brought instant excitement to me. I think Nia Jax is phenomenal. I think she's done her role to the best, and this is nothing against her or Tiffany Stratton. I just don't. I've sailed past this boat for this feud, so I definitely am not super hyped. But I got Tiffany retaining. Any thoughts on that or any of the qualifier matches? Anything you excited about tonight on SmackDown?
Okay, first off, I want to say you definitely need in a bright pink Tiffany Truther shirt. Like you need that needs to be when we start producing gear. That needs to be a shirt for you, Shad. Absolutely. No, as far as this match, I think Tiffany will retain. Selfishly, this weekend, there are two things that I'm looking forward to. One is tomorrow night at the 2300 Arena. I will be going to the NWA Crockett Cup, where Natalya will be wrestling in an NWA ring for the first time. She's battling for the NWA Women's Championship with Gail Kim as the guest referee. Since it's in the ECW arena and it's the first major wrestling show to take place there since the passing of Sabu, it would not shock me if we get a 10-bell salute in there, which would be the most fitting. He wrestled there, I believe. Well, he didn't wrestle there. He was there, I think, last weekend for some independent show. And I believe that was his last public appearance. So, that's going to be kind of cool to go to the NWA show. Any fans that are in attendance that want to come by and say hello, please do. If you're not a fan of me, you can keep a distance. But if you are, I'm more than happy to meet you. So I'm looking forward to that. And I believe there's a couple independent shows on Triller this weekend. One of them is a Wrestling Revolver one on Sunday. And I just remember the last Wrestling Revolver show I watched with Kobe, and we were introduced to our new favorite independent wrestler, a guy by the name of Big Pound, aka Succulent Vanilla. And I'm hoping he's on that show again. So that's what I'm looking forward to this weekend as far as wrestling is concerned.
For sure. I totally forgot about the Crockett Cup being this weekend.
Yes.
That's gonna be a great show. And it's so cool to see Natalia get an opportunity to participate. I think her and Kenzie Page have done a great job building this feud against each other.
It's kind of fun to watch because the NWA calls the women's championship the Burke after the infamous legend of women's wrestling that Queen of the Ring was based off of. So it is really kind of cool that like they're honoring history.
Mildred Burke, right?
Mildred Burke, yes. So honoring the history, and it's just really cool. I would love to see Natalia win it. I think that would be a really cool thing. Is it likely? Probably not. But it would be very cool to see her on WWE TV with that championship, with the legacy and the history. I would love to see that happen. With Gail Kim guest refereeing, maybe it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I think it would just be very cool. The NWA could definitely use the boost, the WWE tie-in and all that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good show. I don't know when it's airing because they're kind of, the NWA is kind of like in flux of where they're airing this stuff. But I'm looking forward to being there.
For sure. And then I mentioned earlier, salute to the good people at GCW. They are making their, I believe, first time ever in Maryland this weekend. They're going to be wrestling where I believe MCW does their shows.
Yeah, a lot of the Evolve used to do there too. I think it's like it's a famous venue in that area. Joppa, Maryland.
Yeah, the RJ Meyer Arena, and that should be an interesting show, man. I know that Jonathan Gresham is on it, Miyu Yamashita. I think the main event for the GCW title is Effie versus Ruckus. So that should be interesting to see. I definitely will try to make it out there, and if I do, obviously, like you said, if anybody who will be out there, I know we have a lot of people in our fan chat that are from the DMV. Pop out, man. Flick up for the IG and stuff like that. It'll be fun. But that is all the time we have here today, man. I appreciate all of y'all in the comments and watching all throughout all the platforms. We'll be back same time tomorrow. It'll be I think I'm on the show tomorrow too, funny enough. But we'll be talking reviewing what goes on tonight on Friday Night SmackDown. So make sure to tune into that. Make sure to tune in all the shows. Like, comment, subscribe on our new channel. Make sure to watch the episode of Sold Separately. And yeah, man, we'll see y'all on the flip side. In the words of Jay Uso, deuces, we are out of here.